Well, I'm going to tell you a story that I haven't told in a while. When I was 25, a guy that I worked with had been telling me about Jesus for a long time. Because I was the smartest kid in the room. Just ask me. I would have told you all about it. I was an atheist because, after all, I knew everything. Have you ever talked to an atheist? Have you ever been one? Let me tell you a little bit about being an atheist. In an intellectually honest way, in order to be an atheist, you have to know that there's no God. And in order to know that there's no God, you have to know everything. You have to know it at all times. And that sounds a whole lot like God. So when you claim to be an atheist, what you're really saying is, I am my own God.
Yeah.
That's sad. If I'm my own God, you guys are in trouble, and I'm probably in trouble too. that isn't going to be good. I had come to the Lord through seeing someone at work every day who simply glowed and radiated the love of Jesus.
Wow.
And I could not deny it. And I would come up to him and I would say, hey, his name was Ron. And he had been all messed up on drugs and stuff for a long time, and then God got a hold of him. Totally turned his life around. He ended up, he was a pastor of a church, and then he worked in my shop. He was a civilian. Ron came up, and I would say, Ron, why do you glow? It was the weirdest thing. I could see it. I could see this guy. It wasn't like a gold halo on a painting of a saint or something, but he had a love that radiated out of him and a peace that radiated out of him. And I would ask him, Ron, how do you get that? I'd like that. I don't know what that feels like. I'd like that. And Ron would say, well, let me tell you about Jesus. And I would go, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't know each other that well. I don't think talking about Jesus. What? He would say, I can't tell you the answer to your question until I tell you about Jesus. Because you wouldn't understand the answer. And I'm like, I'm fine then. I'm good. This went on for a couple of years. And finally one day, he gave me a challenge. He said, okay, there's no God, right? You say that. I know different, but you say that. He said, ask God for something that you can't get on your own. You want to know about this thing? Ask God for that. And I said, okay, how do I say it? What do I say? He said, ask for peace. He said, have you ever felt peace? I said, no. I had a good childhood. I really did, but I didn't know. I was just all twisted up and inside like a lot of people. I was driving. I was actually going home on leave to Footville, because who doesn't want to go to Footville? And I was going home to Footville. I just said, God, if you're real, then I want to know what peace feels like. And then I turned up the radio and promptly forgot the prayer. And a few days later, I was sitting at the pool at my parents' house. Everybody was gone. And I suddenly felt peace. I mean, it washed over me, and I knew that I had never felt this before, whatever it was. You know what? It lasted like 45 seconds. But my first thought was, if I now have what I asked for, and I couldn't get it on my own in 25 years, then that means that the person I asked of it gave it to me. Which means that there is a person to give it to me.
Yes.
Which means that there is a God, and I'm not in.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with that information. But I got back to Montana, which is where I was stationed, about a week later. I walked into my office. We were graphic artists and photographers and that sort of thing. Your tax money at work. Skills I still use to this day. This guy took one look at me and he said, you're ready. He said, I could see it. Something changed. And I said, yeah, I don't know what to do with it, but okay. We had a security room that we worked on top secret documents every once in a while, not a lot. It wasn't that fancy. Don't think I had a cool job, because I didn't. But he took me in that room and flipped the sign, because once that sign was flipped, no one could come in that room. And then he could just lock the door, and he told me all about Jesus.
Amen.
And I had been being witnessed to my whole life by people, and I never heard it. Why? Because eyes to see and ears to hear are both gifts from the Lord. And when I couldn't hear it, I couldn't hear it. But when the Lord decided that I was ready, there it was.